Listen to me for a moment. You've spent years giving your energy to everything around you and almost nothing to the person inside you. This coming year isn't asking you to speak louder. It's asking you to quiet the noise, tune into your own growth, and move with purpose. When you focus on yourself, you stop chasing validation and start building a life that speaks for you. Family, if there's one thing I've learned, it's that silence isn't weakness. Silence is strategy. We're stepping into a year where distractions come dressed like opportunities. People will pull on your time, your emotions, your peace. But if you want this next season to look different, you need to make a decision. I'm shifting my focus back to myself. This is the year you work quietly. This is the year you grow privately. This is the year you build without announcing every step, because when your foundation is strong, your results make the noise for you. You don't need to argue. You don't need to explain. You don't need to convince anyone why you're changing. Just focus, just grow, just stay silent and let your progress do the talking. Protecting your energy starts with understanding that not every place, person, or situation deserves access to you. Most people move through life reacting to whatever comes their way, letting their emotions get pulled in every direction. When you protect your energy, you stop living on defense and start living with intention. You learn to recognize what strengthens you and what slowly drains the life out of you. You begin to notice which conversations leave you inspired and which ones leave you exhausted. You pay attention to how you feel after spending time with certain people, after scrolling through certain content, or after saying yes to things you never wanted to do in the first place. Protecting your energy doesn't mean isolating yourself. It means being responsible with your attention. It means understanding that your mind, your peace, and your focus are resources. When you give them away freely, you end up empty. When you guard them, you build a stronger, calmer, and more grounded version of yourself. Sometimes it's choosing to walk away from arguments that don't matter. Sometimes it's stepping back from relationships that only take but never return anything meaningful. Sometimes it's learning how to say no without guilt, because you finally see that every yes you give away without thinking pulls you further from your own growth. As you protect your energy, you also learn to create space for the things that nourish you. You stop rushing. You slow down enough to breathe, reflect, and check in with your own heart. You spend more time with people who speak encouragement, not doubt. You start choosing environments that match the future you want, not the past you've outgrown. And with every choice you make, you feel yourself becoming more centered, more focused, and more stable on the inside. When you protect your energy, peace becomes your new normal. You stop chasing approval. You stop explaining your choices to people who don't understand your journey. You stop letting small things steal your whole day. You start valuing yourself in a way that influences every decision you make. Protecting your energy isn't selfish. It's necessary because the stronger you are internally, the better you become at handling life without being overwhelmed. And as your energy becomes guarded and directed, your growth becomes noticeable. People won't always understand the shift, but you'll feel the difference. You'll feel lighter. You'll feel clearer. You'll feel more in control of where your life is going. Moving in silence is not about hiding your life. Yeah. It's about giving your growth a chance to breathe without the weight of outside opinions. When you learn to keep your steps private, you create a space where your focus becomes sharper and your confidence grows from the inside rather than from applause. Most people speak too soon, share too early, and reveal their plans before they have the strength to stand on them. Then they wonder why their motivation fades or why the pressure feels heavier than expected. Silence protects the fragile stages of your progress, the stages where you're still learning, adjusting, and building your foundation. When you move in silence, you stop looking for validation. You stop needing someone to agree with your vision before you act on it. You begin to trust your own judgment and listen to your inner voice more than the noise around you. That quiet space becomes a place where ideas mature, where discipline grows, and where you start seeing the difference between what's important and what's just a distraction. Working quietly allows you to stay dedicated without getting caught up in comparison. It keeps you from feeling rushed by what others are doing because you're not focused on proving anything. You're focused on becoming better. There's also a calm power in being unpredictable. When people don't know your plans, they can't interrupt them, influence them, or discourage them. They only see the results after the work is already done, and those results carry more weight than any announcement you could have made along the way. Silence protects your momentum. It keeps your confidence from being shaken by opinions that don't align with your goals. It gives you the freedom to fail privately and rise privately until you're strong enough for the results to speak on your behalf. Moving in silence also teaches patience. It teaches you how to stay steady even when you're not seeing quick progress. It reminds you that real growth often happens behind the scenes where no one is watching. You start appreciating the slow, steady work that builds something real inside you. And when it finally shows on the outside, it looks effortless, even though you know how much discipline it took. Working quietly gives you clarity. It helps you cut the noise, stay focused, and move with intention. Over time, you discover that silence isn't empty. It's full of strength, full of direction, and full of the space you need to grow in ways that feel true to you. Cutting down distractions begins with realizing how much noise you've allowed into your mind without even noticing. Most people aren't tired because their goals are too big. They're tired because their attention is scattered. Every notification, every unnecessary conversation, every moment spent worrying about things that don't matter chips away at your focus. And over time, you start feeling disconnected from your own direction. When you start cutting down distractions, you take your power back. You begin to see how much of your potential was buried under things that never deserved your time in the first place. Some distractions look harmless. They come in the form of people who constantly need reassurance, tasks that don't match your priorities or habits that pull you off track, even though they feel comfortable. Little by little, these distractions drain your mental clarity. They pull you away from the work that actually moves your life forward. When you learn to step back from them, you feel your mind settle. You feel your thoughts slow down. You feel your energy returning to you. You realize how peaceful life becomes when you stop giving attention to everything that asks for it. Cutting distractions doesn't just clear your schedule, it clears your emotional space. It allows you to think more clearly, make better decisions, and stay connected to what you're really trying to build. You start noticing how much lighter your days feel when you don't engage in pointless arguments or respond to every opinion. You stop chasing closure, explanations, or validation. You give yourself permission to let things pass without attaching your whole day to them. And in that quiet, you discover how much stronger you are when you protect your peace. This shift also exposes the environments that no longer fit the future you're working toward. You begin recognizing which spaces drain your motivation and which ones sharpen your focus. You naturally move away from anything that distracts you from your growth. You're not running from people or responsibilities. You're choosing what supports your direction. You're choosing what helps you stay centered. You're choosing what keeps your mind clear enough to see your next step. When distractions fall away, your goals feel closer. Your actions become more intentional. Your days feel more productive, not because you're doing more, but because you're finally focused on the things that matter. And once you taste that clarity, you don't want to live any other way. You begin protecting your focus with a seriousness you didn't have before, because you can feel how much your life changes when you give your attention to the right things. Building habits that support your future starts with being honest about the direction you want your life to go. Most people dream big but live small because their daily actions don't match what they say they want. A habit isn't just a routine. It's a quiet commitment to the person you're becoming. When you start shaping habits that align with your future, you give yourself a structure that keeps you moving forward even on days when you don't feel motivated. Motivation rises and fades, but habits create movement. that doesn't depend on how you feel in the moment. This kind of growth begins in the small decisions you make every day. You start choosing discipline over comfort, even in tiny ways. Getting up a little earlier, planning your day, learning something new, or practicing a skill for a few minutes might seem insignificant, but those moments stack up. Over time, they reshape your mindset. They build confidence because you start seeing yourself as someone who follows through. And once you trust your own consistency, you stop needing everything around you to be perfect before you move forward. Habits also help you stay grounded when life gets unpredictable. When challenges come, you don't fall apart as easily because you've built routines that stabilize you. You've taught yourself how to keep going even when the path feels slow. You don't rely on sudden bursts of inspiration. You rely on the systems you've created. Those systems keep your goals alive when distractions try to pull you back into old patterns. As you keep building these habits, you start noticing a shift in the way you think. You choose actions that support your peace, your growth, and your long-term plans. You stop letting convenience decide your behavior. You start acting like the person you want to become, not the person you've been. And something powerful happens when your behavior aligns with your future. You begin to feel more in control. You feel more confident, more prepared, and more open to opportunities that used to intimidate you. This kind of discipline creates momentum. It turns improvement into a lifestyle instead of a moment. And with each day you practice these habits, your future becomes less of a wish and more of a path you're actively building. You start realizing that you don't need to rush. You just need to be consistent, because small, steady habits are often the reason big changes become possible. Letting your results speak means shifting your focus from explaining your intentions to actually living them. Most people exhaust themselves trying to convince others that they're changing, growing, or aiming for something meaningful. They want approval before they even take the first step. But when you stop talking about what you plan to do and start putting your energy into the work itself, you discover a quieter, stronger kind of confidence. You no longer need to tell anyone what you're building, because your actions begin shaping evidence that speaks louder than any words you could offer. There is freedom in no longer trying to prove anything. You stop worrying about who believes in you and who doubts you. You stop wasting breath on people who aren't invested in your direction. Instead, you pour that energy into becoming better, learning more, and pushing yourself forward. Your focus becomes internal. You're not performing for anyone. You're growing for yourself. And that kind of growth has a different weight to it. It doesn't need attention. It just needs time. As you let your results speak, you learn patience. You learn that real progress doesn't need constant updates. It doesn't need validation at every stage. It simply needs consistency. And when you keep showing up, even in your quiet seasons, the results eventually begin to reveal themselves. People who doubted you start noticing the changes without you saying a word. People who underestimated you start seeing the strength you built in silence. And the best part is that you don't have to defend anything. You don't have to argue or explain. Your progress becomes the proof. This shift also protects your peace. When you rely on your work instead of opinions, outside voices lose their power over you. You stop being thrown off by criticism or influenced by praise. You understand that neither one determines your direction. What matters is the effort you put in, the discipline you maintain, and the growth you commit to behind the scenes. That becomes your anchor. Letting your results speak isn't about impressing anyone. It's about becoming someone you're proud of. It's about building a life that reflects your values, your discipline, and your resilience. When you embrace this mindset, you begin to rise naturally. You rise because your habits elevate you. You rise because your consistency shapes you. And when your results finally show, they speak a truth that no one can deny. They say you did the work even when no one was watching. Staying committed even when it's quiet is one of the hardest parts of personal growth. It's easy to stay motivated when people are cheering for you, when progress is visible, or when everything feels exciting. But the real transformation happens in the silent seasons. The moments when no one is watching, no one is asking how you're doing, and no one is giving you a reason to keep going except the vision you carry inside. These seasons test your discipline. They test your patience. They test whether you truly want the life you're working toward or whether you only wanted the feeling of starting. When things get quiet, doubt often shows up. You start wondering if your effort is paying off, if the path you chose is worth it, or if you're wasting time. But silence isn't a sign that nothing is happening. It's often the stage where the most important growth takes place. Seeds grow underground long before they break the surface. Your progress works the same way. The work you're doing in private is laying foundations that the world will eventually see. Just because it's not visible yet doesn't mean it's not real. Staying committed during these quiet stretches builds strength that can't be shaken. You learn how to rely on your own belief instead of waiting for outside encouragement. You learn how to keep moving even when the results are slow. You learn how to show up for yourself day after day, trusting that your consistency is creating something meaningful. This kind of commitment makes you steady. It makes you resilient. It builds a confidence that doesn't depend on applause. There's also a calm clarity that comes with staying committed in silence. You start noticing the small improvements you used to overlook. You appreciate the process more because you're not rushing to prove anything. You're growing because it matters to you. And when you stay devoted to that process, something shifts inside you. You become stronger, more patient, and more focused on long-term growth rather than instant results. Eventually, the quiet work pays off. People begin to notice the changes you made when no one was watching. They see the strength you gained, the discipline you built, and the direction you've created. But by then, you're not chasing recognition. You've already experienced the internal shift that comes from staying committed through the silence. The quiet seasons shape you. They build the version of you that can handle the next level of life with confidence and calm. And once you've learned how to stay committed during those silent moments, you carry a strength that keeps you grounded no matter what comes next.